Hi, this is another solo advice video. This time it's a tune that's called My Buddy. The words by Gus Kahn, music by Walter Donaldson, arrangement by Dave Wolpe. To be honest, as a director, I never even heard of this tune, but I have two trombonists that have been playing with me for several years, so I want to do something fun for them. This is a really good trombone feature. I highly recommend it. It's a fun waltz, fast waltz feel. It's fairly recent, 2006, but it's a good feature that features the first three trombones, and they have solo sections. The other reason why I picked this song is that it uses a fairly common jazz progression, and I'm picking charts on purpose because a lot of these same progressions keep popping up. So I'll stop yammering and I'll start explaining. This tune is in the key of C for trombones, so that's a nice friendly key, at least for understanding chords, I think. So the first thing we're going to do is just analyze this, and we're going to count the measures and see that nope, it's not a blues, because blues charts are usually 12 bars, so it's probably some sort of AABA or something like that. So we're looking at this, and I see C to A, and I know my roots, going off my roots, if C is 1, I'm going to count up notes to find A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we go 1 to 6, and it's a dominant 7. Then the next thing I have is 4 notes above that, D7, then 4 notes above that, a G13, which is really a G7 in disguise, and we're just adding another note, this E. So if I was voicing it on the piano, it would sound like that. It sounds almost the same, just has a little bit more dissonance. It sounds pretty. So going back to this, there's a jump here, but we see a sequence of fourths. D to G, D, E, F, G, that's 4, G, A, B, C. We see that again here, D, G, C. And we see it again here, D, D, G, C. You'll also note here on iRo Pro I have these smaller chords above the measures. This is to help the soloists, so I don't have to print out or create like 32 measures. All I have to do is write these secondary chords above, and these are what the other instrumentalists would see. It's still valuable. iRo Pro won't play it, but it'll give you a good idea of what's supposed to happen where when you're practicing with this. So back to this. These are 2-5-1s. It's a minor 7 to a dominant 7 to a major 7. Minor 7, dominant 7, major 7. This happens to be, I would say, a 6 instead. Minor 7, dominant 7, major 7. So we see lots of 2-5-1s here. So over a 2-5-1, the best thing that you could do is to think in the happy land where it's landing. So even if this minor 7 to G7 doesn't go to C, we're still going to treat this all as C major. So this is all C, which means that you can play the key of C, all the notes in the key of C leading up to C, and it's fine. Happens here as well. Sorry, I'll mark these first, then I'll say the word of caution. There we go. This is C. Just because this is the key of C does not, I repeat, does not mean you play a C major scale over these chords. It won't work. For instance, if I have a D7, it doesn't work. It doesn't sound good. Unless you work it in somehow. Now, the work it in somehow part, you want to feature the notes of the chord of the moment. I like to call it COTM, chord of the moment. So if you're on a D minor 7, you better be highlighting D, F, A, or C. Preferably the 3 and the 7, which would be F and C. And then the G13. And then that will naturally lead to the C. And we see that 2-5-1 happening 1, 2, 3 times in the tune. Now, this A7, this can be a little bit tricky. I admit this. Oh, sorry, there's also a secret one right here if we look at this up here. So this is also C, and it keeps going here. There we go. Okay, So this A7 is a little bit different. Because it's this 6-7, there's a slightly complicated thing that happens with this. Now, you can, of course, by all means, play an A7 scale. It would be an A Mixolydian scale. You could totally play that and it would sound great. And if you want to get fancy, you could throw in the flat 9. But something's interesting about that flat 9. And that's what I want to talk about. Where is this moving to? This is the purpose, really, of a 6-7. 6-7s are very, very interesting. And they're very powerful in music, especially in jazz. They propel music forward in a different and unexpected way. And what we do is we treat this A7 as the dominant, it's a secondary dominant. It's the dominant of the D. Because it is. A is 5 steps above D. 5 steps up from D minor, E, F, G, A. So this is like this A7 is like a fake 5, it's like a fake dominant 7. And it's not settled yet, because we have this next dominant, and then it's settled. Now we're back to our home key. So these 6-7s are great because of what you can play. Now, this will be a little bit confusing, but I want to touch back on this 5 of 2 thing right here. And I'm going to write it with a different color. 5 of 2. Come on, come on. Where are those little dots? Right there. Okay, so this 5 of 2 means that we're going to use this scale here. This is starting to look like a complicated football play already. What we're going to do is we are going to play the D harmonic minor scale over the 6-7. Where's my green? So I'm going to try my best to just do a little bit. So this is harmonic minor. And the difference between harmonic minor and natural minor is easy to hear. Take a listen. So I'm going to play this on D natural minor. Flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. Flat 7, flat 6, 5, 4, flat 3, 2, 1. So this natural minor is just like any other minor thing that you would hear. But the fun thing is that we have this harmonic minor, which is a little bit different. The harmonic minor means that you have a flat 3 and you have a flat 6, but you have a natural 7, and it sounds like this. That natural 7 is a half step below the root. And again, this scale that I'm playing here, this is a D harmonic minor, okay? D is very important to remember. It is not A. It is not A. We're going to keep A there because we need to know what it is, and the bass player needs to know what it is. But as a soloist, you want to be thinking D harmonic minor. Now, this is going to be weird to think of at first. But if you can remember that, well, your next chord's D anyway. Just for this one measure, you're going to have a harmonic minor scale. And the difference it makes is huge. Now, listen, if I were to play just major, C major scale over the whole thing, it's not going to work as well. I'm just going to pick notes from the C major scale. It's not bad, but listen to what happens when I start throwing in the D harmonic minor scale. It's having that nice it sounds really slick. It sounds really pretty and really classy. So I highly suggest doing D harmonic minor over these 6/7s. So you're playing the 2 harmonic minor over the 6/7. Go like this, 2, H, and then minor. Now, I'm going to play through this a little bit more. So it'll sound like this. Sounds pretty cool. Now let's address one thing. When we have the C sharp diminished here, that is exactly the same as an A7 flat 9. Listen to the A7 flat 9. Here's the flat 9 up top, and now I'm going to change my root to C sharp. The only difference is the movement. We have C, C sharp, D, and it sounds really cool. So that's the only difference. So don't worry about the C sharp. When you're playing the C sharp, you're basically still playing the D harmonic minor scale. Next thing, this E flat is in a similar boat. This isn't as common, but what we're seeing here is we have this bass note progression. We have E, this E is moving downwards, half steps. E, sorry, E, E flat, D, G, C. So what we can do here on this E flat, and I'm going to keep this simple and not explain too much because this video is getting long. This E flat, the coolest thing that you could probably do on this one, E flat diminished, would be is you're going to play the G harmonic minor. Now, this isn't like the best thing in the world to play, but it works. And that's what we want to do. We want to focus our energy on keeping track of where we are in the song. We want to give ourselves tools to make things easier so we can experiment and explore scales that we already know. So this is going to be talking, I'm going to be talking about something called changing lanes. You want to have steady lanes in your mind going as you solo. And in this tune, there are some complicated chords that happen and things that you have to look out for, like this one, where on this one I would highly suggest just making a pattern, da 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 da. It would be really easy to do something like that, or go to the 3. Something like that. It would sound really cool. But spend your time working on these little crazy things that happen after you've figured out, okay, well, all I have to learn basically for this song now, 3 different scales to think about in this song. C, D harmonic minor, G harmonic minor. That's really it. Out of all 16 measures, all these different chords, if you can get these 3 scales down, C major, D harmonic minor, G harmonic minor down, and know where these 2, which are the wild cards, happen in this one, you're set. So that's one lane. So your first option is to play, and these are called chord scales. I'm going to make this fast, chord scales. All right, I know that's not how you spell it. So the other thing that you can also do is you can arpeggiate chords. And this is something that can sound really cool really easily as well. Like if I'm going to be playing around and I'm going to just do focusing, I'm going to solo and focus on arpeggiating a lot. Sorry. I've tried to do almost all chord tones, that's it, and just arpeggiating. So on a piano, that's easy because I'm already playing chords all the time. That's not hard. All I do is just play them one by one. On an instrument, I can imagine that's a lot harder. I play trumpet as well, so I understand that it's tricky, but with practice, it gets easier. So the other thing that I'd like to introduce into this song is that I have two main scales that I teach, the blues and the amp scale. And the amp stands for altered, major, pentatonic. Now I'm going to break that down real fast and go to the last letter. Pentatonic meaning 5-note scale, which is easiest played on starting on the group of 3 black keys on the piano. It's also called a folk tone scale, the kind of thing you can just kind of hold the pedal down and do some just really cool sounding chords. You can do whatever you want. Everything sounds great because there is no harmonic dissonance. So, major pentatonic, meaning that it's major in tonality compared to the minor pentatonic, which would be, we have it major, except we're in the key of C. So the reason that I call it altered is not because I'm doing a fun altered scale. I'm altering 2 notes. Well, I'm adding 2 notes. 1, 2, flat 3, natural 3. Those are the first 4 notes of the scale. 1, 2, flat 3, 3. Then 5, flat 6, 6, 1. So again, it's basically the scale, major pentatonic scale, except I'm adding the flat 3 and the flat 6. So it sounds like this when I'm playing it. The interesting thing is that I don't know if this scale is actually a scale, but I hear these notes and melodies all the time, usually in songs with major tonality. The melody revolves around these notes. It focuses on them. And you hear so many cool licks being used with these, especially like 6, flat 3, 1. It's cool. It's different than the blues, which is good. And it has that major happy-go-lucky feel to it. And on this song, you definitely want that. So I'm going to give you a taste of what amp would sound like. And it's not going to work for everything, but you can also get used to it and figure out where you're supposed to be, and it'll work out all right. So I'm going to try to only play the amp scale. Yeah. Like there, I kind of goofed it up. The cool thing I like about this scale as a piano player is that it has these really nice pulls. Sounds really cool and really slick. So, the master improviser, your goal, your sights should be set on having these 3 things running simultaneously in your mind, like lanes of a highway. The easiest thing to do at first, if this is a complicated process to you already, stick to something that is easy. Stick to something that you can play over everything and just kind of make it work. Make it fit into what you're doing. It's not going to be perfect all over the place. You have to figure out what to play on specific sections, especially specific chords that may not work for every single note. But once you get comfortable with one lane, then you want to start introducing another lane. And this isn't like switching lanes for the rest of the song. This is just a temporary switch. A temporary switch, and then go back to what you know. So I'm going to play a little bit of that as an example. I'm going to focus on the amp scale, and then I'm going to come out of the amp scale to highlight chord scales of the moment or arpeggiate chords for color as well. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, not perfect, but you get the idea. It's fun to play. It sounds slick. If I spent a lot more time on it, it would sound even better. But I'm just thinking of one thing over all those chords. And I'm a piano player, so I have to play left-hand chords. Like, whoa, I have to think of a lot more than just a horn player would. So if you can keep track of where you are in the tune and know that you're going to rely on one lane, and then every once in a while switch out of it, go to something else that you're getting more familiar with or learning more of, this D harmonic minor, which you're going to have to get used to this 6-7. It happens a lot. But if you can get to that point where you're able to just change lanes just temporarily, even for a measure or maybe more, or then you could start doing arpeggios, like this would be a great spot to arpeggiate. You can do lots of really cool stuff. But again, only when you're comfortable with one lane should you really branch out. So get comfortable with one, be it amp or chord scales or arpeggios, but don't just stay in one lane the whole time. Have fun. Go for a joyride and switch lanes, but stick to one. Okay? All right, I hope this helped you. Happy practicing.